over here! Finish him. Fatality.
All right, so we are here for the first episode of Fight Me Ever. I'm Rash. I'm here with Danny Salas. You know him as the king of the afternoon drive.
Yes, thanks, man.
Right now on Q97. But Danny,
Q97.1.
You've been... They're right next door.
Q97.1.
You think I would get that? It's funny, you know, the two of us have both been on the radio here in this market for a long time.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot of folks like us, actually, believe it or not, that have been here 20 plus years.
It's a circle of life. Everybody's related.
I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, but I thought what we would do while I interview you is we would play Street Fighter.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
It's something,
I like it.
When I was a kid, I used to go to the arcade and I would play this on a regular basis. And are you any good at this?
What arcade did you go to as a kid?
There was a Tilt in the Sierra Vista Mall.
I was going to bring that up, bro. Sierra Vista Mall. Tilt was the spot.
My mom was the, true story, my mom was the manager of the Gotchocks at the Sierra Vista Mall. And
So
she would, my sisters who were in high school didn't want to watch me, so they would drop me off there and she would give me a pile of quarters and I'd go beat people up at the arcade.
So 2 games at Tilt that I pumped in so many quarters, it's ridiculous. Street Fighter 2 and WrestleFest. WWF WrestleFest.
Yep.
2 of the greatest stand-up arcade games of all time.
You'd hit the buttons real fast and they would choke you.
That's
like
it, dude. Legion of Doom was like the big baddies or the main bad guy. That game was so tight.
I remember. All right, so before I start asking the questions, let's kind of get this game going here. I figure we would start with the original Street Fighter 2. This is the very first one, 1991. There's only 8 characters you can choose from in this game. None of the bosses are in here.
The originals.
So do you have any talent at this? Do you remember who was your favorite
Bro,
character?
I remember the first time I ever beat the game was with E Honda.
What?
Yeah, E Honda I actually beat the game with.
You were one of those guys.
Arcade.
You just sat there and just slammed on the buttons.
But Chun-Li, aesthetically, I just like to look at her on screen. So
World's strongest woman.
Yeah, I think Chun-Li might be my go-to. I think.
Okay, all right. What you got to do here is hit the select button there on your controller and pop you in.
All right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pick a fighter. And
then Chun-Li's gonna be my girl. Even though Guile's pretty awesome.
See, everyone who likes Chun-Li also likes. Oh, this is the OG where you can't even pick the same person. You can't even.
Not even.
Whoever you
pick, red
versus
versus blue. You can't even do red versus blue.
I'm gonna go with Ryu here as a standby.
Is it Ryu or is it Ryu?
I don't. To be honest with you, I don't know. I go back and forth and hope I'm.
Can we pause this video while we Google it?
No. This is where the internet comments and trolls call us idiots. So what I wanted to start with is, like I mentioned, we've both been on the radio here in Fresno for a long time.
Long time.
Why haven't you moved? Why are you still here?
I'll tell you why. Number one, I love Fresno. Actually, raised in Clovis, but I love Fresno, Clovis, this area. Number two, I got family here. So I got a wife here and some kids that I know of that still live here. No, just kidding. I got 2 kids. This is home, dude. And honestly, people say, Fresno's kind of the butt of jokes sometimes, but dude, we freaking got
you got me in round 1.
Yeah, I did. Just like at the arcade. You gotta distract your opponent, dude. You gotta distract your opponent. Fresno has everything, man. I had an opportunity to go a couple places a few times, but I don't see myself living anywhere else, dude. This is home, man.
I'm with you. People ask me that same kind of question all the time. That's why I wanted to know how you would answer that.
Yeah.
As far as being on the radio in general, how has it changed, you think? Because I have my own answer to this question, too.
Well,
it's way different than it was when we started doing it.
Yeah. Dude, when I first my first foray into radio was at Fresno State at KFSR. So learning at KFSR, dude, they still had carts. For people who don't know what carts are, they look like
hand
these.
off the controller right there. See, I know. I'm not going to let you go just because you're talking.
This guy. Cheating son of a.
At KFSR, you were saying.
At KFSR, they had these carts, looked like old school 8-tracks, and we actually played commercials off of these big old cartridges.
I remember those. Yeah, I remember.
And they had turntables. We played stuff off of records.
You played records?
We played records at KFSR, dude. When I first started, my very, very first radio show, they called it progressive, which is like alternative. So it was like rock. They played like all that underground rock stuff. That was my punk. It was my very first show, so we played them off of records. They had some CDs, but not too many. But their record collection was ridiculous.
Was it the CD players and little carts that you drop in there and you just push it down?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember one of my first shifts. I used to work on a different station, and it was a classic rock format. And I played by mistake. I played a Beach Boys song. This is close enough. Old folks are old folks, right? Like they don't know the difference.
My first anti-authority story. Son of a gun.
That was an ass kicking.
Son of a gun. I didn't know we started. It was a practice round. At the progressive station, they had a list of like they had these things that had dots on everything. So we had to play a couple of these dots, couple of these dots, couple of these dots. And I'm like, hey, can I just like go off the list? Everyone, they're like, no, stick to the dots. This is what you got to do. So I saw one time I was playing this punk stuff, and I was like, dang. So I had to write out a list and whatever. And I saw one was mislabeled, and it was Loveful by the Cardigans. I'm like, this does not belong in here with all this punk. But I'm like, has a freaking green dot on it. I knew I wasn't supposed to play, but I'm like, all right, cool, I'll stick with your dots. And they actually called me in. They're like, dude, why did you play this? I'm like, had a green dot on it, dude.
System, man.
It's your system, your flawed system. But I knew I was doing wrong back then. And that was my first anti-authority move that I did in radio. But as far as how else radio has changed, dude, we're the last of the... Can you still say Mohicans? We're the last of the Mohicans, dude. Sure. There are only a few people left in radio now that were around when I started.
Well, and that's what's interesting about. I think I mentioned when I started the first question about how many of us there are here in our local market that have been here for a number of years. So you and me and Greg and Dre have been doing this for a long time here. I can name a bunch of people at other stations, but I won't.
E. Curtis.
E. Curtis that have all been doing this.
E. Curtis actually hired me for my first radio job, coincidentally.
How many people were in the building when you first started working at the radio station?
That's a great question. 1 billion. When I first got started, I got started doing the night shift, the graveyard shift. So my shift was 10 p.m. till 4 a.m. Now, dude, you cannot find a radio station where they actually have a live person on the air.
No.
Right?
No. Yeah, same thing for me. I did bookend overnight shifts, and then I would do the morning shift on the weekend. I was working at 2 different stations. That would be overnight from midnight to 6, and then from 6 to noon on Saturday, I was doing something else. And you did it because it was fun.
That's exactly right. But as far as like how many people are in the building when I first started versus in 2020, dude, it's crazy. Everyone's on a skeleton crew now in radio.
How do you think social media has impacted where we are now?
I think it is of the utmost importance. I don't think you can do literally anything on the air without backing it up or pre-promoting, post-promoting it on social media. I just think it's.
I can tell by the sound of your voice you're getting focused there. You want to try to come back.
I always hated Chun-Li.
You gotta pick somebody else in. I'm just gonna keep coming at her.
All right. I can't even throw fireballs, bro. I'm not used to this controller.
What are your favorite social media platforms? You have Twitter person, Instagram person?
Dude, I freaking love Twitter, man. Twitter's the freaking best, dude. Like, Facebook is cool, Instagram's cool, but Twitter is actually at its best when like something is going on, an award show, friggin' whatever, politics or whatever. But when you could follow something in real time on Twitter, you can't do that on Facebook, can't do that on Instagram. When you could see what other people are talking about and how they're feeling at that exact same time, it's like you're in the same room with them. So Twitter's my go-to.
Just so people know, I don't just keep picking Ryu or whatever his name is. He hasn't beaten me yet, so until he wins, I'm locked in. This is the original Street Fighter.
Dude, literally never played Street Fighter 2 on Xbox. I was told there'd be a stand-up cabinet in here. Son of a gun. Can't even throw a freaking fireball with this guy.
What's your Twitter handle, by the way? Get that out there.
Ruthless Radio. Ruthless Radio.
Why?
I first started. All right. Well, you're going way back now. So I first
we got all kinds of time. There's no time restraints on this.
Depending on what the editing looks like at the end of this, you're gonna have a 15-minute conversation into a 2-minute bit. I first started getting into radio after listening to an album called Easy Does It by Eazy-E. I'm finally figuring out how to throw a fireball with this freaking guile.
It's the internet. You don't have to worry about not cussing. You'll be fine.
Right. I got inspired by a song called Radio by Eazy-E. That's what first inspired me. His label is called Ruthless Records, and he did a show in L.A. called The Ruthless Radio Show at, can't remember what station, The Beat, I think.
Okay.
So when I first started getting on at KFSR at Fresno State,
I just cheesed. You should have been able to win. I just looked at the clock and backed up off you. That's the kind of guy I am. That's how desperate I am to win at all costs.
This guy. I just can't figure out how to throw the freaking fireballs.
You hold back, then forward and punch. I'll help you with guile. Back 2 seconds, forward and punch.
I'm going to do it again.
All right, pick him again.
Oh, wait. New challenger. All right, where was I? What was I talking?
Eazy-E, Ruthless Radio.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude. And then I finally, at KFSR, I got a spot where they actually played hip-hop songs. I was on from midnight till 3 a.m. which was freaking awesome. On a Saturday night, it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But the great thing about it, really, dude, with the stars.
The great thing about it, it's all right. You'll stay focused. You'll be all right.
The great thing about it was at KFSR on college radio, and actually I think on commercial radio too. They have something called Safe Harbor Hours.
Okay.
Safe Harbor Hours.
Right.
When kids shouldn't be expected to be listening to the radio from 10 p.m. till I think 6 a.m., right?
Yeah.
So I would go out of my way to play all the super dirty versions that I could find. Like, if they were clean, I would try not to play them, so I would play all the dirty versions, and I called my show Ruthless Radio.
Oh.
So that was my first love at college radio. So all my handles are Ruthless Radio. Facebook, or Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all Ruthless Radio.
One of the things I noticed that there's two things I've noticed actually that you post a lot about. One of them is wrestling, which we'll get into here in just a few minutes. Which maybe you'd be better at. Maybe if we had a wrestling game.
Maybe.
Zangief is a wrestler. Maybe you go with that guy next.
Dirty Russian. Dirty Russian.
You post a lot about wrestling, and then the other hashtag I noticed you use a lot of is the respect the police thing.
There's
I want to ask you about this specifically. No, because this takes a little bit of balls to do in our business, especially in this market. I respect that a lot. I agree with most of the things that you post up there, but do you ever think twice in today's age of people getting called out for saying things that if you post something about a cop somewhere sometime that the hammer's going to come down on you?
If anybody ever said, you know what, Danny Salas, I noticed you post a lot of stuff about police and law enforcement, I would come back with, there's literally nobody that posts more respect the police tweets than Danny Salas.
All right.
I post respect the police tweets more than anybody else I know.
That's
so
true.
Nobody can dispute that.
That is an absolute fact.
But also I love ironic hashtags.
As I can. That's fair.
But honestly, like in all seriousness, everybody, I think that's my thing. Everybody has a cause. That would be my biggest cause. Like if I had to fight for something,
it's a big problem,
right?
It is. No, legit.
So I tell people this all the time. I don't go out of my way to find rotten stories to retweet. They just happen. The fact that I don't have to look, that's a problem.
That's the problem. I'm with you. Oh, you're gonna get me? No, I'm just kidding.
Dang it.
Just kidding.
This is your system, right?
If we could switch controllers too, it doesn't really matter if you want to do that. The other thing that I noticed on your Instagram page, and actually I have one I'm going to ask you about here in a second. The thing that you seem to post most are action figure pictures.
Yeah.
Usually of wrestlers. Are those all your action figures?
Well, technically, yes. Some of them are my kids, but
mean?
They're my kids. But I bought all those suckers though, so they own nothing. They own nothing. But yeah, they're all mine. My original plan for Instagram was just to make it all toys, just all 100%. And then it kind of meshed into and progressed into
I'm gonna lose!
Work-related stuff.
Oh, there was your chance! Oh, you had me! You had me right there! You had me! Didn't work out. I'm not gonna see. It's like I tell my kids all the time: if you beat me, you're gonna earn it. I'm not gonna just let it happen.
All right. Son of a gun.
So it started as you wanted it to be just nothing but toys.
Yeah, nothing but toys, because I think that's cool, because no one does that.
But you do. This is actually a good place to show you. I want to show you a picture from your Instagram page, and I want you to explain to me what is happening and we'll post this up too so you can see.
Am I pausing this?
But it doesn't really matter. I'll beat you anyway.
This guy.
What is happening in this picture here?
Easy. All right, cool. So what I do for Instagram a lot of the times, not all the time, but a lot of the times.
We'll post it up too, but you can kind of see.
So I'll post pictures of toys, and then usually they will be accompanied by a song lyric, usually like a hip hop lyric or something.
Okay.
So in this particular picture, the caption is, "I'm so effing sick and tired of the Photoshop." That's a Kendrick Lamar lyric from a song called Humble.
All right.
So in this picture, you see Jessie from Toy Story.
You do?
Traditional Jessie. She's in front of a laptop. On a laptop, Photoshop is open, and there's a picture of a hot chick dressed as Jessie.
Yeah, okay.
Implying that Jessie from Toy Story is photoshopping her own picture to make her look sexier than she actually is.
I felt that's a very good explanation, and I felt this picture to be that's very artistic. Like that could be hung up somewhere.
It is.
And you got a lot of those.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Ruthless Radio on Instagram. Follow me.
As I mentioned, the other thing
here.
you post. Oh, come on, man.
I'm Ken now?
Yeah, you're Ken right
You're
now.
not getting a perfect.
The other thing that you post a lot about is wrestling, as I mentioned before.
Yeah,
and,
WWE.
At the time that we're recording this, it hasn't happened yet, but you got a big event coming up. The Super Show is going to be at the Save Mart Center the Sunday following our recording of this right now, and you're going to get to host a preview.
Yeah, dude, this is kind of freaking crazy because WWE directly called me because we've been doing stuff with WWE interviews, and they've invited us to Radio Row for WrestleMania, where it's just like a handful of radio stations get to interview wrestlers and stuff. So they called me for this one. They're like, "Hey,
I just got you in the corner, and I just don't.
Yeah, you did. You know who does that? People I hate to play. This guy just gonna keep you in the corner. That's some bull right there, man.
Anyway, WWE gave you a call.
Nobody puts baby in the corner. They called and they're like, dude, we're going to try this thing for the first time ever. So it's like a beta test. So before a live event, we're going to try to get, they call it a market leader. So someone who knows the WWE brand and has done work with them in the past. Right. Am I going to use everybody and have you beat everybody on here?
That's what's about to happen.
Son of a gun. So they're like, we know that you're a hardcore fan and that you've helped us out so much. She goes, so you were definitely the go-to. We want you to work with our ring announcer for a pre-show, a kickoff show. I'm like, dude, I'm so freaking in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be working with their ring announcer before the show starts, an hour before the show starts, in the crowd, at ringside, around the ramp, doing like I guess trivia and contests, and they wanted a picture of me to put on their freaking jumbotron.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, I'm all in. So yeah, at the time of this recording, it hasn't happened yet. By the time you see it, hopefully I'll be like all crazy excited, bragging to everybody about it. You'll see it on my Instagram.
If you were a WWE superstar, what would your name be, and what would your finishing move be? And if you don't have an answer for this, I'm going to call you a liar because I guarantee you thought about it.
Dude, honestly, when I was younger and my dreams of becoming a WWE wrestler, I would have had a couple different answers for you. But now I'm confident in my abilities now. Where I think if I had a chance to work for WWE, it would be more on the just a speaking capacity, ring announcing or whatever. So I'd probably just use my real name.
Would you have a catchphase then?
At the end of my at the end of my show, my radio show every day.
Yeah.
Son of a gun! It's another.
You were frustrated at first, and now you're just kind of like deflated.
Well, I'm not deflated. I'm still trying, dude. It's not like you murdered me. Dude, I literally have not played this game in years, and I have absolutely never played it on Xbox. At the end of my show, as another homage to Eazy-E, I always say, "See you around, buddy boy." So if I had a catchphrase, it would be, "See you around, buddy boy."
That'd be good, right after someone drops a finishing move on.
Right?
Yeah, that
See you around, buddy. And that, would that look good on a T-shirt? That would look tight on a T-shirt.
Yeah, maybe this preview show can turn into something for you. But see, then you'd have to leave Fresno if you got big.
You know what? Leaving Fresno for radio and leaving Fresno for
the WWE.
That was totally different, right?
All right. Who is your favorite superstar of all time?
Easy, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Of all time?
All time, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Really? Why?
I think it's because the time I was born and growing up in like the Attitude Era, they called it.
Yeah.
Stone Cold was like my dude. He was like the go-to guy. He was like the coolest dude on TV. He was like the anti-hero, and he changed the game. So he's my all-time favorite.
Him and now I didn't watch a lot of wrestling growing up or at any point really. I like going to the show. It's always fun to go, but the storylines I can never follow. Him and The Rock were popular at about the same time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, The Rock, him.
But The Rock was the villain, wasn't he, or no?
When he first came in, The Rock first started, he was the super bona fide certified good guy, and then the crowd turned on him because it was around that time when it was again the Attitude Era. People were getting smart, and fans didn't want to be spoon-fed a good guy that they were forced to cheer for. So then he was forced to be the bad guy, and when he became the bad guy, that's when he really came into his own, dude.
What do you think of his career right now, where he's at? Because there was that time where he tried to ditch The Rock, and he was just going to be Dwayne Johnson. Everyone's like,
"You're like,
what the F is this? Like, you're The Rock."
He's always The Rock.
All right, Mr. The Rock.
He's always going to be The Rock.
His movies are pretty good, though.
I love The Rock's movies.
Oh,
heck yeah, bro!
I lost.
Eat it.
It's only one round, though. Still got to come back.
Not over.
His movies I find entertaining. You know what you're gonna get, but there's not a lot of action stars like that, like there used to be when we were kids.
He is the action star now. I love The Rock, dude. Like that's on bucket list of people I'd like to meet and or interview. The Rock would be the top of the list.
You've never interviewed The Rock?
I've never interviewed The Rock. I met The Rock once in the year 2000 I went to Anaheim, Arrowhead Pond for WrestleMania, and they had a WrestleMania access, like a fan fest, and he was there, and I got a picture with him. Right when my buddy took the picture, The Rock says, like that, and looked, so he's not even looking at the camera. He like turned his head. He like turned his head right away. It's hilarious, dude. So I would like to get at least a good picture with him one day in my life.
Who's the most famous person you've interviewed?
Most famous, I would have to say, like when I go to schools and stuff, like even elementary schools and middle schools, they ask me that same question. So I try to think of a person
Someone
that they would someone that they would know.
Well, who's the most famous person to you? Like, what's the one that you go, yeah, I remember that. That was really cool.
Dude, there are a ton that are like, son of a...
won one round, and I had to refocus, but once I was refocused.
Just me personally, I interviewed Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that was like one of my top interviews. I interviewed Eddie Guerrero, who is freaking huge. But like to the masses, like mainstream, I would say probably Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, just because everybody knows Snoop Dogg. So the most famous would be Snoop Dogg.
Actually transitions nicely into where we were going to go next, music. Because, I noticed we share an office. And I noticed a lot of times...
You notice?
I don't know what shirt you're wearing today. I got a Johnny Cash shirt on.
I got Johnny Cash.
A lot of times you'll wear rock shirts. I've seen you wear Nirvana stuff. Got a Johnny Cash shirt on now.
Yes, sir.
You work at the hip hop station in town. What do you listen to when you're just driving around town?
When I'm driving around town, usually, in the morning, I like to listen to, if I'm being honest, and I shouldn't, because I work for terrestrial radio, but whatever. I like to listen to Howard Stern a little bit in the morning, just because I like laughing a little bit in the morning. But as far as music-wise, I've got, obviously, 105.1 The Blaze on my presets.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I got you. But honestly,
you don't listen to my show because you listen to Howard, but you listen to The Blaze. I appreciate that.
Actually, I listen to the.
I'm really gonna beat the crap out of you.
I listen to replays of Howard when Rash is on. I listen to Rash. You don't worry about all that. But I got my presets on rock stations. When I do listen to whatever satellite radio or whatever, I have rock stations. But I'm just off of my MP3s or I even go old school CDs. I'm super into 90s rock, so like Chili Peppers I love. Who else do I love? Obviously Nirvana, all of the classics. I'll listen to some Pearl Jam. So I like the 90s rock.
Yeah.
I even like I like old Tom Petty. I like
he's trying to focus.
Yeah.
He's trying to Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, honestly, dude, like I don't know, man. Even with hip hop, like I love hip hop and I love 90s hip hop. Even the newer artists that come out, I like the music that we play and I love the newer artists that come out. But like, I have my favorites already, dude. Like even if I love Metallica. If Metallica came out with something in 2020, cool, I'd listen to it. But dude, I love old school Metallica. I already have my music.
How old are your kids?
7 and 11.
Okay, my son's 13 and he's at that age. 13's about when you start picking music kind of for yourself. That's how I was. I remember junior highs when I found Pearl Jam and all those 90s bands.
Yeah.
And I kind of worry about the future when it comes to music because the stuff that he listens to, I'm going to be honest, and it's probably not for nothing, but it's probably a lot of the stuff that you spin in the afternoon. It's the kind of stuff that he listens to, and I'm like, what is this?
They call it pop music for a reason, dude. They don't call it pop music for nothing, man. My kids listen to everything that I play on this radio station. Obviously, super edited, clean, radio-friendly versions.
I'll give you an example of something that I mean. Now, I've done this for a long time, and he's known that, and I've interviewed all kinds of people, and he's been to shows with me.
Dawson is horrible.
Yeah, but I'm glad you picked him because that's going to round out the guys we haven't beaten yet.
No, it's not, because I haven't played with E Honda, if you've noticed. I have not chosen E Honda, and I'm kind of scared because I don't want to freaking lose with E Honda. And now I'm losing the jacket because I'm freaking serious.
So now it's getting serious?
Oh, man. Is this going to mess up continuity with the editing?
Don't worry about it.
All of a sudden, I'm having no jacket?
So, Juice WRLD is an artist that just passed away, like a month ago or so? Fairly recently, right?
It was in December, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had no idea who that was, and my son was all upset about this artist that had passed away. I'm looking through Instagram, and I follow Kimmy, who is on the morning show with you guys, and she had a picture of him when he was coming by the studio, and I told my son, I'm like, oh, I met that guy.
Yeah,
I didn't know
dude.
who the hell he was. He was just a dude in the office, and I think I gave him a bottle of water on my way out the door. He was more impressed with that
Dude.
than anything else I've ever done.
Right?
I've talked to sports stars. I've talked to big time musicians.
But who are they to him?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Not a thing at all. He told all of his friends. My dad gave water to Juice WRLD. Like, this is the
That's
thing.
something to brag about, dude.
This is the thing that you're excited about. It was upsetting.
That's awesome, dude. Well, that's how it is. Like, especially with teenagers, man. Like, again, they attach themselves to artists who have one, maybe two songs on the radio. They don't need to. They call them legends, man. One song is all you need to have a rabid fan base.
I guess.
And it goes back to like social media, man. Like all these artists with one song, but they have 1 billion followers on Instagram.
All right, we're almost done, but I want to ask you a couple more things.
Oh, we're not done till I say it's done.
Well, okay. We'll keep going as long as you want. When sorry.
What I would like to know is there any way you could win with any other character but Ryu?
I could, but unfortunately you haven't beaten me, and I'm locked in because we picked the original Street Fighter, and I can't. It was Battle 11, and I just keep winning.
I'm with it.
We talked a little bit about why you're still working here in Fresno, why you like this market from a work standpoint. But what is it about the Valley that, like, if you were talking to someone who's never been here before, just about what it's like to live here, what would you tell them?
I would say if you've ever wanted to live somewhere where there's easy access to beaches, mountains, theme parks, strip clubs, just kidding.
We only got 2 of those.
Yeah.
And they're not that impressive. I think one of them gives hot dogs out for like a lunch spiff to get you to come in. That's not a good sign. When the strip club's offering free hot dogs just to get people in, not a good sign. Don't ask how I know that. I've heard things.
You had me at strip club, you lost me at hot dogs. But honestly, dude, Fresno gets a bad rap sometimes,
It
man.
does.
But
I agree.
we have freaking everything,
Yeah.
man. Like, we have great food. Dude, you go to the freaking grocery store and you get your choice of any kind of fruits and vegetables. It's like everything, it seems like everything is always in season.
This ain't even you. This is the
No, it's not
computer.
me. Did I lose so many times it's not allowing me to play anymore?
It's like, no. You're putting, for whatever reason, it made you second place score of all time. You're putting your name in there.
All right. Hey,
you
second place, bro. That ain't bad.
You're the first person to play with me, so there's that. Congratulations. We'll see how
silver
long,
medal, bro.
We'll see how long those initials last up there.
Silver medal.
But yeah, I agree. I think Fresno gets a bad rap. There's a lot of things you can do here. As far as the food's concerned, I think once you get to the Bay Area, the Mexican food's not nearly as good.
I agree 100%. Yeah, they got food trucks around. Oh, I go to San Francisco a lot. Bunch of food trucks around Oakland, taco trucks. Ain't nothing compared to the Mexican food you get in Fresno, man.
I agree, 100%. Now, this is your last guy.
It's E Honda.
You better finish strong here. I figured the last thing we would do as far as the interview is concerned is I would give you a chance to ask me a question. And see if I can stay focused trying to answer your question.
Nah, I don't think it's going to work. You're ultra focused right now. All right, for Rash. I want to know, and I am always curious to people, not just people in this industry, but just people who do cool things about how they even got into it, how they started. It's not for the money for sure, so I know that's not going to be your go-to.
I had hopes and dreams.
No.
That's not.
Radio is one of those things where, in theory, it sounds like it would be lucrative and celebrity-like, but in execution, you don't make a lot of money.
No,
you don't make a lot of money.
It's the bottom rung of the entertainment ladder.
Yeah, but with that being said,
it's still fun.
It's like the freaking NFL, dude. Like, yeah, you want to play football, but dude, their teams are super, super tiny. There's a small, tiny chance you're gonna make it in the NFL.
Well, an even smaller chance in radio now.
And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. There's a small, well, not even a talent pool, but there are not a lot of opportunities in radio.
Well, I got into it as you waited that whole time for E Honda, and that's what happens. That whole time.
I actually thought this was the bonus round.
So this is Mortal Kombat? I thought we were playing Mortal Kombat. I got into
Friendship.
Well, we could play that next time. I got into it when I was in high school, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought it would be a cool summer job to get me, through the summer after high school to figure out what I wanted to do. And I always thought I'd go to school and be a history teacher or something like that. And I got an internship at a different radio station, and It was fun, and
Back
I was
when they had internships.
Right, exactly. I was getting concert tickets, and it was cool. Like all the people that thought that wouldn't hang out with me in high school, suddenly I was the coolest guy around because I could get them into all these shows, and I totally didn't do that because they were assholes to me in school. So you can go screw yourself. And that was the coolest thing to me ever. And I worked through overnights and anything you can do other than sell it, and it just kind of stuck. And it's an outlet, a creativity outlet that I haven't been able to duplicate in any other form of employment, I think.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask because I know you went to Clovis High.
I did.
I went to Clovis High. Cougars for life. Did you or have you had the opportunity yet to be invited to or attend a high school reunion?
Okay, I passed up on my 10-year high school reunion. My 20-year high school reunion is actually coming up this year. And I've been contemplating whether or not I want to go. When you live in a town like this, the one thing that's a negative about the Valley is that people don't leave. And I see a lot of these people anyway. And this is the other thing that social media has done. I know where all of you are. Like I know what you're all doing. If I wanted to go grab beers with you, I would. But I haven't, so I probably won't. But yeah, I mean, I might go. There's a few people I haven't seen. Did you go to yours?
I went to my 10-year, and it was cool. There were a couple little hiccups here and there. It was actually a couple hiccups that made me not want to ever go to a reunion again. But I think for the most part, it was cool to be in radio, dude. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's cool to say, hey, man, I'm doing something cool. I'm not working at it. I'm not freaking laying tile and doing something I hate to do.
Did you rent like a Bugatti or something when you rolled up? Just so that people were like, see, Danny's got it going. I knew it.
No, but I had a hell of a good haircut, and I had a nice shirt, so I looked real good. And we got to plug in our little makeshift yearbooks what we were doing now, and I was totally proud to say I work in radio, and everyone was pretty impressed by that.
Well, I think that's a good one to end it on. I'm sorry you didn't beat me.
Bro, I didn't
Not even one time.
I won a round. I won one round in this entire, and I went through the whole roster.
Well, Danny, I appreciate your time.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
This was a lot of fun. Check out
cool.
Danny, Afternoon Drive, king of the Afternoon Drive. Did you make that name your own?
I did. A sales dude came up with it for me, and I'm like, dude, I'm totally stealing that. King of the Afternoon Drive.
Sales folks, don't ever let them tell you they're not good for you.
King of the
Danny
Afternoon
Salas,
Drive.
make sure you check him out. Afternoons on Q97.1.
Yeah, buddy. Follow me at Ruthless Radio.
That's what I was going to say.
Appreciate
Well
it.
done.
Thanks, man.
Finish him. Fatality.